So now we're up and running. I'm going to go through with you 8 steps of building an income generating blog. So there are 8 steps that I'm going to go through from the start to the end. It is advisable if you go through the 8 steps 1 to 8. However, I totally didn't go through them 1 to 8 when I started my blogging journey. What I've done is I've learned from my mistakes and I've compiled a list that makes it way easier for you to start a blog or to improve a blog you've already got. So a little bit more about me. So I'm Charlotte Watkiffs, and together with my friend Anna, I've supported over 17,000 people begin their journey towards lowering their waste. Anna and I live by throwing nothing into the landfill. We reduce, reuse, recycle, repurpose, and rot every single piece of waste that we come into contact with. That means nothing that we produce is going to landfill because we try and shop in a completely different way, or grow our own food, or go to sustainable places to buy our food, which means that we have no waste, no packaging waste at the end of the weeks, the months, which means we don't have to take our bins out anymore, which is amazing. We started discussing our journey about zero waste living via a blog, and over the sort of 18 months it's been running, it's really grown and developed into something where I'm now able to work full-time on the blog and the not-for-profit that sits underneath it. I'm going to go through with you the different ways that I generate an income through the blog. Some are products, some are services, some are passive, some are not passive. And I'll talk to you about the ones that are most successful, the ones I wish I started earlier, the ones I wish I never actually spent my time on. So this training is designed to help anyone who's interested in blogging and give them a head start in terms of what to concentrate on, what to avoid. Hopefully you'll find this helpful. So a little bit more about where I started my journey of zero waste, of blogging, and where I am now. So at the start of December 2016, Anna and I found out about zero waste living. So we found out about it online. We both watched a video, a very similar video, I think, about zero waste and about how people were living without the need for a bin and about how they were able to be more connected to their choices as consumers, how they felt more connected to the society they were a part of. It was something that we totally wanted to know more about. So we began researching and we started off 2017 with the New Year's resolution that we would send nothing to landfill in the whole year of 2017. So we started off very, very optimistic, and then we got stuck in and we realised it was a little bit trickier than we thought it was going to be. So we had to break down our task into small, manageable chunks, and that is exactly the same as what we had to do when we began blogging. We were toying with the idea of starting a blog for quite a long time. We weren't sure whether people would find what we were talking about interesting, but Anna has been a photographer for all the time I've known her. She has a full-time job as a freelance photographer. She is a sports photographer, so she runs alongside sports people, marathon runners, cyclists. She takes pictures of them, and that is her profession. So we were really lucky that we had Anna's photography skills for the blog already. And there were times when I didn't think anyone would find what we were saying interesting because we weren't an expert in our field. But actually, because we weren't an expert, we were able to give a completely different angle in terms of what we were learning as we became experts in the field. It was our friends who suggested that we began the blog, and in August of 2017, we actually did start this blog. I remember it was August because it's my birthday, so it's nice and easy for me to remember that date. Then in 2018, we got approached to do our first paid work with the blog. We got contacted by a university down in Falmouth. So I live in Birmingham and Anna lives in London, and Falmouth is very far if you're familiar with England. We got contacted and asked to put on an event about zero waste living. These guys only knew us through the blog and through our social media, which was amazing because it was showing us that what we were doing was actually having a difference. People were interested in what we were saying and what we were doing. And then when in my work, so I was working in an office at that point, when the discussion of voluntary redundancy came up, I knew that it was right for me to take the plunge and to try living off the blog and the other projects that were coming alongside the blog full time. I used to work in an office job and I learnt an awful lot that was transferable into my blog and the business. I completely loved what I did, but as I was reflecting on what I really wanted to get out of life, I decided that it really wasn't right for me to be in an office job for the rest of my life. I didn't really see much progression, and definitely the progression I saw wasn't really inspiring for me. So I decided to really follow my passion and create a business out of it. I want to share with you guys the struggles that I've had along the way, but also the bits that I wish I'd have known a bit earlier, in the hopes that this will help you guys on your journey to build an ethical blog that's built to serve as well. So in December 2018, we had our first media appearance. So number one media appearance was with ITV Central. We were also approached by BBC, a radio show, places all over the country and all over the world. We were really lucky because our old university wanted to do an article on us, and that was really special because that's where Anna and I met originally. So it meant quite a lot that our university wanted to feature us, and it was really, really lovely to be a part of that. So overall, I'd say that our key successes have meant that we've been able to reach more people. It's the kind of chicken and egg thing where we just need to get started and accept the fact that not many people were going to be reading what we were talking about. But as we were able to produce more content which was relevant to our readers, that meant that we were able to have paid work with brands. So we would be approached by brands, or we would approach brands to work with them. If they knew that the audience we worked with was relevant to their product or service, we were happy to promote them for a paid fee. And that's exactly how I would recommend you guys starting off getting some income generated from your blog. And because what we do is related to the environment, we also support schools, businesses, and community groups with the products and services we produce and sell to people. I'm going to talk a little bit more further down in this training about how I came up with what people would want and how I tested what people would want before I went fully immersed into the products and services. You learn the hard way that your time is precious, and if you're spending it in the wrong way, you're wasting your money and you're wasting your time. So I will give you some tips to avoid that sort of stuff. Our subscribers increased dramatically by me actually focusing on building a list. So I used to think it was enough just to have a little pop-up on the side of the blog that said, please sign up to our newsletter. Now that wasn't enough at all. We needed something slightly more than that. I will go over with you what I did and what other options are available for you later on in this video. So as I previously mentioned, we've been featured now in TV, radio, and various different articles on the web and in print media, which is super exciting. The reason why I want to say that is not to boast, it's to say we started off small, we started off, not being read by many people at all. Our blog has grown and grown and grown, and our blog has given the credibility of us to be able to talk about subjects like plastic pollution, climate change, building a community in our local area. If we didn't have our blog, it wouldn't have been possible. So I just wanted to highlight the power of starting a blog and what that can actually lead to. So this training session is for you. If you have either already got an idea about what you'd want to blog about, you've already got a blog up and running and you want to take it to the next level, or if you just know that you've got a passion somewhere inside of you and you are wanting to share that passion with someone. Overall, you need to have a desire to spread your message and to share it with other people. Now, your idea may be very, very specific, excellent. If it's not and it's general, I'm going to talk to you about how to make it a little bit more specific. Blogs are set up around the world daily. There are thousands being set up, and not all of them are successful. The reason why they're successful usually is because they have a very specific audience that they talk to, and that means that when people are reading, they're finding it really relevant information. I'm also going to cover about how we turned our blog into something that created profit for us. Like I've already said, I did make some mistakes, and I will tell you about those so that they can be avoided. But the best thing about blogging is the possibility to have passive income streams and being able to scale up whatever you produce really quite easily because it's online and it's not face-to-face. So for instance, if I was to do a workshop, there would be a workshop in person, there would be a limit on the amount of people that could come to my workshop, say it's 20. Whereas if I was to run the same workshop, adapt it for an online audience, I can sell it on my blog and I can sell it to 2,000 people. I can charge the exact same amount because the content will be the same, but I'd be able to reach anyone at a time that's convenient for them or for me or for both of us, and I'd really be able to scale that up. So we're hoping that if you are participating in this, you have got some time to dedicate to the blog. It is totally about showing up and doing the work on a regular basis. And when you start off blogging, that is super easy to do. And when you get further down the line, it gets harder and harder to do that. I'm going to give you some tips about how I keep myself motivated, and about how to schedule your time if you're pretty short on time. Everyone seems to be, so I'll give you my tips. So this training is by no means a way of getting rich super quick. That's not what blogging is all about. If that's of interest to you, look at something different, because this is not that. Blogging is certainly a labour of love. It's the kind of thing where lots of successful bloggers say that they never even started their blog out to make any money from. They just realised that the more they blogged, the better they got, and the better in tune they got with their audience. So therefore they were able to sell to that audience. That might sound sleazy, but it's not, because they're working with their audience to create products and services that are actually relevant for that audience. They've almost been tailor-made for what their interests and their pain points are. So as I mentioned, blogging does take some time, does take effort. If you don't have the time, maybe a blog isn't right for you right now, but hopefully this training will help you understand what kind of time is needed to create a blog. Running a blog and an ethical business is all about adding value to your customers and basically giving them more than they were expecting to get. If you don't have a passion for serving others, then again, I wouldn't say blogging's quite the right profession for you, or even the right pastime, because people read blogs to hear about someone's personal opinions and thoughts and feelings on a particular subject. And if you aren't willing to give away a lot of that information for free and only monetize certain parts of your blog, it's probably not for you as well. And finally, we're not going to give you all the information and then send you off to complete it on your own. You are more than welcome to just watch this video and then leave it there. However, we do have a full course that you can take if you want to have a little bit more information. And likewise, you can always contact us after watching this video if you've got any specific questions. We would really love to help you. And I'm not just saying that. I really think that by spreading the message of how to build an ethical blog, we'll create more blogs that serve more people, and ultimately I will learn from you as much as you can learn from what we've learned so far. Okay, so here are my 8 steps. If you have worked in sales, marketing, any kind of businesses already, you will sort of notice that a lot of them is similar, and essentially they've been changed because the platform is online. But it's very much the same as you would with any other product or service that wasn't online. The final part is just the passive part that I was talking about, where you can scale up what you do and you can you can basically go big, which is super exciting. So let's talk about what a blog could do for you. So I've already talked a little bit about what the blog did for me. So I used to work in a corporate job. I liked it to start with, but I didn't like it by the end. So I was there for 4 years. And I worked with a lot of lovely people. I really, really loved who I worked with. But slowly those people went on to bigger and better careers. They moved, and suddenly I wasn't really loving the people that were left. And like I said, redundancy came about. So I was working there for 4 years, and in those 4 years, there were 3 different restructures which led to redundancies. I didn't feel particularly safe, and I also knew that working in the corporate world wasn't my forever job. It was just my I've left university, what do I do kind of job. Now, that's not to say that I didn't learn a lot, and it's not to say that I didn't enjoy it. I totally did. And I know that a lot of the skills that I learned there, I've been able to take into the blog and into the business as well. However, running a blog and running my not-for-profit has just meant that I have so much more freedom. I'm able to spend my time where I want. I'm able to work on products and services that really excite me, and I can say no to things that don't excite me. I can charge rates that I think are reasonable for the work that I do and the going rate in the rest of the sector. But equally, I'm able to work with people who maybe have never heard of zero waste living, but could really benefit from what I share. I'm also very flexible, so I could work from anywhere. I could work from friends and family's houses, and then I can spend more time with them. And in the future, I'm hoping that that has a really flexible approach to my family life that I'm hoping for in the future. What would a blog do for you? Would it be extra money that you can pay off debts, that you can buy things with, that you can put towards your mortgage, that you can go on holiday with? What is it that extra money or that passion business might do for you? And the reason why I want you to get that into your head is because, like I've said already, blogging can be really hard. And then there will be times when you're like, what's the point? Because I feel like no one's listening to me. Or what's the point? Because I feel like I'm just having to do content that nobody is reading, that nobody's really interested in. So having this idea of the long-term goal or whatever you're aiming towards will be really helpful for those moments, and it will keep you going and it will spur you on. And it will also be a really great thing for if you're like me and you have left your job and you are working full time, it'd be great to remember back to this and be like, my gosh, I'm onto a really good thing. I've left my job and I have such a flexible lifestyle now. I'm really super happy. Okay, so we're going to go through the 8 steps now. So step number 1 is all about your niche. So it's all about what you talk about. So I'll talk about our niche first of all. So Anna and I blog about zero waste living. Now, we're not the only bloggers out there that are blogging about zero waste living. Zero waste living is our passion by all means, but me and Anna have different ways in terms of how we approach zero waste living. So I love to make things from scratch. If I was going to have a cake, I would bake the cake myself. Whereas Anna, she isn't very good at baking. So she would go to a shop with a Tupperware box and she'd get that cake in that box and she'd take it away with her. So essentially that's our passion. Zero waste, doing zero waste our own way. Now, our readers have an interest in terms of zero waste living, but they also want to know about how we live zero waste, what our successes were, what our failures were, what we've learned. So essentially, our magical unicorn in the middle is the 2 of us talking about the different ways that we approach zero waste living and what our audience wants to hear about. I'll give you another example. Your passion might well be going on beach holidays. It might be going on beach holidays on a budget. Now, your audience, their interest would be the budget side of things. In terms of, they could read multiple other blogs about beach holidays, but your magical unicorn would be the beach holiday side of things and the budget. So as much as possible, think of your passion, think of your big idea and try and niche it down as much as you can. If you can re-niche your niche, do it. That's what I'd say. Because it is very much a saturated market. Lots of people are sharing their opinions in blogs online. So the more you can do to set yourself out from the competition, make yourself a little bit more unusual, the better chance you have at reaching people who are really interested in what you've got to say, because you will have a special talent, you have a special passion that other people will have, but you'll have it in a specific way that is really intriguing to someone to read. So don't be scared to really delve deep into what makes you unique, and then build a wonderful blog about that. Okay, step 2 is about your creation of content. So that's all about what you write and the photographs and how you present yourself. So what you say, you'll need to have a think about who you're saying what you say to. So your audience. So you've already got an idea from your niche, potentially who you might be talking to, whether that person is quite similar to you or whether it's quite different to you. In terms of our blog, we write for people who are very, very similar to us. We started off documenting what we learned, and it just so happened that those kinds of people were people very similar to us who were interested in what we were doing. Because we've been blogging a little while now, we can actually see what kind of people read our blogs. So we're able to look at further information, who's reading what, where they live in the world, what they do in their spare time, what gender they are, what age they are. So we know that we work with women aged 25 to 34, majority based in England, quite a lot down in London, and some in other parts of the world, such as USA, such as the rest of Europe. In terms of how we talk to our audience, we are very open in the fact that we talk about our opinions. So we actually have a disclaimer on our website that says everything that's on here is our own opinion. Don't substitute medical or educational advice for what we say. It's purely what we've learned by doing our journey. Having said that, you might be someone who's coming from an academic field who actually wants to back up what you say with a lot of different research, and you have a strong authority in that area. Amazing, that's fantastic, and that is going to be part of your niche. Just make it really clear which way you stand, because we started off, like I said, talking quite a lot about our opinions, which has led us to become an expert in that field. However, you might already be an expert. Just make it really obvious so that people know when they hop onto your blog who's creating the content and what kind of background you have. How you say your content also matters. So right back at the start, Anna and I had a little chat about who we were talking to and how we were going to talk to them. So we discussed about language that we would never use and language that we would try to use. So we decided that we would always be positive as we possibly could be. There are blogs out there that talk about the environment and they shed light on things that aren't being talked about in the media. Fantastic. We know that that is not our niche. We know that we're not very good at that side of things. We know that we just don't know enough about it to discuss it. So we always said we would focus on the positive changes that people were making or that we were making to make a difference. And that would be the way that we talk to our audience. So what started out as just a conversation has now grown into our branding guidelines, where we do have a document that states what fonts we'll use, what colours we'll use, what our logo looks like, what our taglines are, how we'll talk to people of various customer segments within our overall customer audience. You don't need to have that now, but it's always worthwhile thinking, okay, how would I put what I'm thinking into a document that could be read by someone else if I wasn't able to blog anymore? It's almost like imagining when your blog is vastly successful and you are able to employ someone, first of all, what would they need to know about who you are, what you do, what you talk about, what you don't talk about? It's also worthwhile thinking about how your readers access your information. Our readers often search for our blog organically, so they'll type into Google zero waste living and we'll come up. Some other people, they pull in all their audience via social media, which means that it's far more important for them to be on social media than it is for us. Now, we're always on social media because it adds a personal touch to what we say. However, we know that people read what we say because of the content we put on our blog. So we'll always start with that. Now, it's the sort of thing that I'd suggest start off what you feel more comfortable with. So if you love posting on Instagram, go for it. If you love doing videos, go for it. Don't put yourself in a tricky situation to start with. Just start with what you really enjoy doing. Sorry about that. Okay, building up some traffic. So how will you get some traffic to your site that will ultimately lead to sales? Now, I just need to get a drink because I am super breath. Been doing too much talking. So how will you get an audience? So like I said, one way is to go onto social media and to pull people into your site. The best way overall is just to start blogging and continue blogging, because the more you blog, the more Google is going to prefer what you're saying and pull you further up the search ranks. However, you can pay for followers, so you could pay for you to appear higher in search engines. You could pay for advertisements. If you have the money to do so, and that is absolutely what you want to do, by all means go ahead. However, we've never paid for traffic. We have other ways where we've had a different desire, so as in it's been to add more value, or it's been to share our message of zero waste, or it's been working with a particular brand or media outlet, and that has been an unpaid opportunity that has led to more traffic to our site. And for us, that's always felt more authentic. I would say if you're starting small, go down the unpaid route, because literally the word of mouth is what's going to make things spread faster. So it's talking to old friends about what you're doing, about your blog. It's sharing it around on your personal social media. And for us, when we were out and about and we were doing something that was zero waste, so we were using our own shopping bags or we were using a straw, we would use that as an opportunity to say, oh, by the way, we're writing a blog about zero waste living. If you want to know anything more, just hop onto that. And that was really helpful, because then we were talking to our target audience. And we were able to direct them towards our website. Okay, so growing a tribe. So we've talked already about social media and about how brilliant social media can be for either bringing people in or directing them onto your blog, or it might be the way that you actually converse with your audience most of all. However, social media followers aren't always real followers. The reason for this is that if someone has signed up for your newsletter, they have opted in to follow your content, and they can opt out just as easily. On Instagram, Facebook, other social media channels, it's usually they'll opt in, they'll follow you, they'll like what you're doing, and then maybe the algorithms will change and therefore they don't really get to see your content anymore. Or they're just seeing what you write or what you post, but they're not really engaging with what you say. However, when you send a newsletter, it hops straight into their inbox and they're able to take the time to actually digest what you're saying, and they're more likely to click on the links that you send them. Now, that means that you have to be providing them with relevant content. And that's something that definitely used to scare me at the start of running the blog. However, if you're able to produce content on your blog, you're able to produce content for a newsletter, because the people that are wanting to read your newsletter are the same people who want to read your blog. So what I would say is definitely focus your time on building that real tribe. So the real tribe of newsletter subscribers. So I said back at the start that I used to think that just having a pop-up on the side of the blog saying, please sign up, would be enough. It totally wasn't enough. And we managed to grow our subscribers by 250% in only 2 months by giving away something for free. Now, it seemed really counterintuitive to say, have this free thing. However, because what we were giving away was relevant to our audience, it was a tick sheet. It was a tick sheet to get them started on zero waste living. Because it was relevant for our audience, they didn't mind exchanging their email in order to get that. However, if we just said, can we have your email? They weren't sure what we were going to use the information for. So we made it really clear, we'll send you this email. We'll send you an email with your tick sheet. We'll send you 5 emails. You're able to unsubscribe whenever you want. However, if you get to the end of those 5 emails, we'll pop you onto our main mailing list and we will email you once a week. Now, you might be there thinking, but people are going to unsubscribe from what I say. Yes, they will. They unsubscribe from what we say. That's fine, because they are then saying, what you are talking about is no longer relevant for me. Wouldn't you much rather them take themselves out of your newsletter list than hover on the background and basically be thinking, what is this person talking about? It's much more helpful for you to just be talking to people who are really, really passionate about what you say and what you're all about. Otherwise, you're just kind of wasting your time. Okay, so find the pain of your niche market. So what are their struggles? Now, I'll give you the example of our blog. We talk about zero waste living, and the main struggles is that zero waste living is complicated, it's hard work, it's hard to stay motivated, it's often really hard to find a community of people who are interested in the same things. So we know that our struggles of our audience are motivation and community. So therefore, everything we try and do brings that into the forefront. So when we run a workshop, we get interaction between different people who maybe don't know each other. And when we produce anything online, we try and get people to talk with each other and celebrate their successes, even if they don't know each other. The way to find out what your niche market wants is to ask them. So whether that's in person, whether you know someone who reads your blog and you're able to bounce ideas off them, or you can just do a simple survey. That's what we did. And honestly, it was the most useful thing I've probably ever done to understand what my audience are after. And that seems really stupid that I didn't think of it at the start, but it was just quite simply, what do you like that we do? What could we do to serve you better? And that helped me start to brainstorm some products and services that were going to be relevant for our audience. And it was kind of led by them, which means that they want it, they can buy it, and then suddenly I'm not feeling like I'm selling them things that they don't want because they've actually built it with me. Okay, I think this one is actually step 7. Sorry about that. So de-risk yourself. Now I know that's not proper English, but what I mean by this is lower the risk. So you've got your target market, you figured out who you're talking to, what you're talking about, and now you are in a perfect place to start selling to those people. You know what they want, they've told you what you want. However, you still don't want to risk having all your eggs in one basket. You don't want to go ahead and do that. You need to test the market. Let me give you an example. When we did our PDF, our very first PDF, we're hoping to do version 2 very soon, where we add a bit more value to it. When we did version 1, we sent round the sample of it to lots and lots of different people that we knew. We sent it round with a survey as well, so we asked them to use it for a week, fill in a survey, let us know what we thought, and then we have a chat with some of them via Skype to figure out what they liked, what they didn't like, what we could improve, change, all of those sorts of things. Now, as someone like me who thinks really deeply about this kind of feedback, that was really scary, because I was thinking, oh, they're going to hate it, oh, they're going to think, I'm going to take everything they say personally, and you do need to get out yourself a bit when you're doing this. You do need to think, no, they're critiquing the product, they're not critiquing me, and if I'm able to get feedback off them in a safe environment, then I am not selling this product when it's not right for the audience. So get yourself a group of people who will support you and will want to check what you do. You can always give them a nice little incentive, whether it's financial or food related, alcohol related, in order to test what you're doing is relevant for your audience. Okay, the next step is to scale. So scale up what you've done. Figure out what works, look at it really black and white and say, okay, I spent X amount of money, X amount of time, and this was the result that I got. Was it worth it? Was it not? What could be improved? What could stay the same? Work out the 20% of things that worked and do it times 80. So you should shift. You've probably heard the saying already that what we do 20% of the time actually brings us 80% of our income. So you need to multiply that 20% higher. You need to do more of it because it gives you value. It gives you value and it gives your audience value because your audience are buying it or your audience are engaging with it. So do more of it. So it might be that you find on your blog that doing recipes is really, really highly sought after. People love reading your recipes. If that's the case, do more recipes, do less how-to videos. Whatever it is, focus on that, do more of it, and that is how you'll be able to do the next step, which is to switch to passive income. Switching to passive income and going to the beach. Now, I know that sounds really, really easy and really simple, but I do want to share something with you. So I've mentioned already about that PDF that we had. Now, I was on holiday in Thailand a couple of weeks back now, and I was walking back from the lovely beach in the middle of the day, and I walked past a bar which I had some Wi-Fi on from, and I got a nice little money cha-ching because someone had bought our PDF while I was on a beach in Thailand. I didn't do any work that day. I hadn't promoted that item. It was already on our blog and it was sitting there ready for someone to buy because I'd created that product in a way that I didn't need to put any more of my time and effort into it, and it could be purchased by someone. How awesome is that? So by switching your offerings to passive, whether it's online downloads, whether it's courses, whatever it is, you will be able to create an income no matter where you are in the world, no matter what you're doing, whether you're sleeping, whether you're sunbathing, whatever it is, you can have an income from your blog, which is amazing. Okay, so I'm going to send you a freebie. If you head to our website, so zerowastelife.co.uk/8blogsteps, you'll be able to get the steps that I've just gone through with a little bit more explanation than the slides have. So you can download it for free right now, and you can begin working through it at your own pace. However, if you want to join our full course, so our Build a Beautiful blog course, so it's how to create an ethical, honest blog which is built to serve, you can follow the link right now and you can get yourself enrolled today. So we will cover all 8 steps in greater detail. What we're going to do is we're going to go through 21 different modules. And the modules will be delivered in different ways that are relevant to different people. So we have audio files, PDFs that you can download. We'll have one-to-one catch-ups via Skype. Everything is basically available to you once you bought the course, so you can go at it in your own time. And we're basically super excited to work with as many people as possible who want to add more value to the communities they live in and the wider environment. So I hope you found this information really helpful today. Pop a comment down below if you found it relevant or if you have any questions or any feedback, anything like that. And you can also go ahead and download your freebie. Thank you very much. Bye.